In the vast labyrinth of sacred texts, there lies a secret so terrifying that it has been deliberately hidden from most of humanity. A creature so colossal, so monumentally dangerous, that God himself was forced to seal it away until the final judgment. Its name is Behemoth. But this isn't just any biblical monster. This is a primordial entity that represents the raw, unbridled power of the earth itself, locked away in hidden chambers beneath our feet, waiting for the moment when the seals are broken and the end times begin. What you're about to discover will shatter everything you thought you knew about biblical monsters, ancient prophecies, and the hidden forces that shape our world. Because Behemoth isn't just described in Scripture, it's still here. Still alive, still sealed away, and according to ancient prophecies, it's destined to awaken. Prepare yourself for the most terrifying journey into biblical prophecy you've ever experienced. We're about to uncover why God created a creature so powerful that he had to immediately imprison it, why ancient rabbis spoke of an end-times battle between monsters, and why mysterious underground sounds around the world might be signs that Behemoth is stirring. But before we descend into this abyss of ancient terror, smash that like button if you're brave enough to learn the truth about the beast that God sealed away. Subscribe and ring that notification bell, because what you're about to hear will change how you understand both biblical prophecy and the very ground beneath your feet. Are you ready to meet the creature that makes Leviathan look like a goldfish? Because once you learn the truth about Behemoth, you'll never feel safe on solid ground again. Chapter 1. Job 40. God's masterpiece of terror when God wanted to humble Job. He didn't point to the stars, the mountains, or the vastness of the ocean. Instead, he directed Job's attention to two specific creatures that demonstrate his unlimited creative power. We've already explored the fire-breathing sea dragon Leviathan. But today, we confront something even more terrifying. Behemoth, the unstoppable land monster. In Job chapter 40, verses 15 to 24, God himself provides what may be the most detailed description of a land creature ever recorded in ancient literature. Listen carefully to these words. It's because they're not describing any animal that walks the earth today. Look at Behemoth, which I made along with you, and which feeds on grass like an ox. What strength it has in its loins, what power in the muscles of its belly. Its tail sways like a cedar, the sinews of its thighs are close-knit, its bones are tubes of bronze, its limbs like rods of iron. Stop right there. A tail that sways like a cedar tree. Bones like bronze tubes. Limbs like iron rods. This is unpoetic exaggeration. This is a technical description of a creature with a skeletal structure unlike anything in the natural world. But it gets even more extraordinary. Among the works of God, Behemoth ranks first. Only its maker can approach it with his sword. The hills bring it their produce, and all the wild animals play nearby. Think about what this is saying. Behemoth ranks first among all of God's creations. Not humanity, not the angels, but this massive land creature. It's described as God's masterpiece, the pinnacle of his creative power. The text continues. Under the lotus plants it lies, hidden among the reeds in the marsh. The lotuses conceal it in their shadow. The poplars by the stream surround it. A raging river does not alarm it. It is secure, though the Jordan should surge against its mouth. Here we see a creature so massive that it can lie hidden among marsh plants, so powerful that raging rivers don't disturb it. It's at home both on land and in water, completely unafraid of any natural force. And then comes the most chilling part. Can anyone capture it by the eyes, or trap it and pierce its nose? Who can stand before its face? Who dares to open the doors of its mouth? The answer, clearly, is no one. This creature is beyond human control, beyond human comprehension, beyond human ability to defeat or even confront. Chapter 2. The cedar tail mystery, the single most important clue to understanding. What Behemoth really is lies in one specific detail that has puzzled scholars for centuries. Its tail sways like a cedar. Cedar trees, particularly the cedars of Lebanon mentioned throughout the Bible, are among the most massive, most impressive trees in the ancient world. These are unsmall saplings. We're talking about trees that can grow over 130 feet tall, with trunks up to 8 feet in diameter. They're symbols of strength, permanence, and majesty throughout biblical literature. Now imagine a creature with a tail that moves like one of these massive trees. This isn't describing the stubby tail of a hippopotamus or even the trunk of an elephant. This is describing something enormous, powerful, and terrifying in its scope. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The Hebrew word used here is chaputz, which doesn't just mean moves or wags. It means stiffens or makes rigid. This tail doesn't just sway gently. It becomes rigid like a cedar trunk. Picture a creature capable of making its tail as rigid and straight as a 100-foot cedar tree. What kind of power would that represent? What kind of destruction could such a tail cause if swung with force? Some scholars have tried to dismiss this by suggesting it's metaphorical language, but the text gives us no reason to interpret it symbolically. Every other detail in the description is presented as literal fact. The bronze bones, the iron limbs, the marsh habitat, the Jordan River location, all of these are specific, technical details. The cedar tail description is the smoking gun that proves we're not dealing with any known animal. No creature on Earth, living or extinct, has ever possessed a tail that could be accurately compared to a cedar tree in both size and structural capability. This single detail eliminates every conventional explanation. It can't be a hippopotamus. Hippos have tiny, stub-like tails. It can't be an elephant. Elephant tails are long but flexible, nothing like a rigid cedar trunk. It can't be any known dinosaur. Even the largest sauropods had tapering, whip-like tails, not cedar-like appendages. We're dealing with something that transcends natural biological categories. Something that was designed and created specifically to demonstrate God's unlimited power. Chapter 3. Ancient Theories. The Great Debate. Throughout history, scholars have proposed three main candidates for what Behemoth might be, and understanding why each theory fails brings us closer to the terrifying truth. The first and most popular theory during the medieval period was that Behemoth represents an elephant. This theory gained traction because elephants are among the largest land animals. They're herbivorous, like the text describes, and they possess impressive strength. The great theologian Thomas Aquinas wrote, "Among all terrestrial animals, the elephant stands out in size and strength, and among aquatic animals, the whale." Therefore, the Lord describes the devil using the metaphor of an elephant and a whale. But notice what Aquinas is doing here. He's not saying Behemoth is an elephant. He's saying the elephant is a metaphor for something much more significant: Satan himself. We'll return to this crucial interpretation shortly. The elephant theory fails for several obvious reasons. First, elephants don't have tails, like cedar trees. They have relatively thin, rope-like tails. Second, elephants don't typically live in marshes and rivers. Third, elephants, while impressive, can certainly be captured and controlled by humans, which contradicts the biblical description of Behemoth as untouchable. The second major theory emerged in the 18th century, when French scholar Samuel Bouchard proposed that Behemoth was a hippopotamus. This theory became extremely popular in academic circles and remains dominant today because hippos do live in rivers and marshes. They are herbivorous, and they're known for their aggressive, dangerous nature. But the hippopotamus theory has an even more glaring flaw than the elephant theory. Hippos have virtually no tail at all. Comparing a hippo's tiny, stubby tail to a massive cedar tree is not just inaccurate, it's absurd. It would be like comparing a pebble to a mountain. The third theory, less popular but more plausible, suggests Behemoth was inspired by the water buffalo. This theory has merit because water buffalo do live in both terrestrial and aquatic environments. They have longer tails than hippos. They're incredibly strong, and they're known to be difficult to control. But even the water buffalo theory fails to account for the sheer magnitude of the biblical description. No buffalo has bones like bronze tubes or limbs like iron rods. No buffalo has a tail that could realistically be compared to a cedar tree. Here rests the crucial point that all these theories miss. The text of Job 40 isn't trying to describe any normal animal. It's describing something that transcends natural categories, something that was created specifically to demonstrate divine power beyond human comprehension. Chapter 4. Thomas Aquinas and the Satan Theory. The medieval interpretation of Behemoth as representing Satan himself opens up a theological dimension that's both fascinating and terrifying. This was an arbitrary symbolism. It was based on careful analysis of textual differences that reveal hidden depths in the biblical account. The key lies in a crucial difference between the Hebrew Masoretic text and the Greek Septuagint translation. The Hebrew text says that Behemoth is the beginning of the ways of God, or the first of God's works. But the Greek Septuagint says that Behemoth is the beginning of the Lord's creation, made to be mocked by his angels. This difference is absolutely crucial. If Behemoth is the first of God's works, it suggests this creature was the original, the prototype, the ultimate expression of God's creative power. But if it was made to be mocked by angels, it suggests a fall from grace, a corruption of original purpose. Early Christian interpreters, reading primarily from the Greek text, developed the theory that Behemoth represents Lucifer himself, the first and greatest of created beings who fell from heaven and became Satan. Think about the theological implications. If Behemoth represents Satan in his original, created form, then Job 40 is giving us a description of what the devil actually looked like before his fall. A creature of incredible beauty and power, with bronze bones and iron limbs, a masterpiece of divine engineering. The description takes on new meaning in this context. Behemoth's incredible strength represents Satan's original power as the highest of the angels. Its untouchable nature represents Satan's position beyond human ability to confront or defeat. Its dwelling in marshes and hidden places represents Satan's current exile from heaven. But here's the most chilling aspect of this interpretation. If Behemoth represents Satan, then God is telling Job, "You think your suffering is unfair? You think you can question my justice? Look at this creature. Even the most powerful being I ever created is completely under my control." Medieval artists frequently depicted Satan as a massive, beast-like creature, drawing directly from the Behemoth descriptions. The creature, pride, described as being beyond human ability to humble, perfectly matches biblical descriptions of Satan's fundamental sin. This interpretation explains why God uses Behemoth to silence Job's complaints. The message becomes, if even this ultimate expression of created power must submit to God's will, how much more should you? Chapter 5. Talmudic Secrets. The End Times Battle. The Talmud and other rabbinical texts preserve some of the most extraordinary details about Behemoth's ultimate destiny, revealing that this creature has been preserved for thousands of years for one specific, apocalyptic purpose. According to the Babylonian Talmud, both Behemoth and Leviathan were created during the first week of creation, but they were so incredibly powerful that God immediately realized they could not coexist on earth without destroying everything. So he separated them and sealed them away until the end times. Talmud Bava Batra 7.5a states, "In the future, the Holy One, blessed be He, will bring Leviathan and Behemoth to fight each other, and with their flesh, the righteous will be served at the feast of the Messiah." But this isn't just about a meal. This is about cosmic justice, about the ultimate victory of order over chaos. The text describes an epic battle between these two primordial monsters that will be the greatest spectacle ever witnessed. Here's what makes this tradition so remarkable. It takes the biblical descriptions completely literally. These ancient scholars were not speaking metaphorically. They believed Behemoth and Leviathan were real creatures of such enormous size that their bodies could provide food for all the righteous who have ever lived. The Midrash adds even more disturbing details. The Behemoth was placed in a wilderness where no one dwells, where no seed is sown, so that its fury would not destroy the earth. This confirms that Behemoth is so dangerous that its mere presence would destabilize the natural world. But where exactly is this wilderness? The text refers to a place called Dedan, often interpreted as a hidden, inaccessible location. Some traditions place it in underground caverns, others in remote desert regions sealed by divine power. The tradition also speaks of dietary compensation in the world to come. Just as Jews in this world were forbidden to eat certain animals, in the next world they will be permitted to feast on Behemoth's flesh as compensation for their faithful observance of dietary laws. What's crucial to understand is that these weren't ancient fairy tales. These were serious theological discussions about the literal fulfillment of biblical prophecy. The rabbis were making practical preparations for the end of the world. and Behemoth was central to their understanding of how divine justice would ultimately triumph. Chapter 6. Enochian Apocalypse. Two monsters separated the first. Book of Enoch provides perhaps the most detailed and terrifying account of Behemoth's origin and ultimate destiny. This ancient text, considered scripture by some early Christians and still canonical in the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, reveals cosmic secrets that mainstream Christianity has largely forgotten. Enoch chapter 60 describes a vision so extraordinary that it reads like science fiction. And on that day, two monsters were separated, a female monster whose name is Leviathan, to dwell in the depths of the ocean above the fountains of waters. But the male is called Behemoth, who occupies with his breast a waste wilderness named Dedan on the east of the garden, where the elect and righteous dwell. Notice the specific details. Leviathan is female, Behemoth is male. They were originally together, but had to be separated. Behemoth was placed in a wilderness called Dedan, east of the Garden of Eden. But here's the most startling revelation. I asked another angel to show me the power of these monsters, how they were separated on one day and cast, one into the depths of the sea and the other onto the dry land of the wilderness. The angel's response is chilling here. Son of man, you wish to know what is hidden. These two monsters, prepared conformably to the greatness of God, shall furnish food for the elect and the righteous. This, isn't just about the end times. This is about cosmic preparation. According to Enoch, these creatures were specifically designed and preserved for the final judgment. They're not random monsters. They're instruments of divine purpose. Waiting for their moment in prophetic history, text continues with details that suggest these creatures are far more than physical animals. And the angel of peace who was with me said to me, "These two monsters, prepared conformably to the greatness of God, shall provide food for all who are left." The phrase "prepared conformably to the greatness of God" suggests these creatures embody divine attributes, that they're living demonstrations of God's unlimited creative power. But perhaps most disturbing is the implication that these monsters are still alive, still waiting. The text consistently uses present tense when describing their existence. They haven't been destroyed, they've been preserved, sealed away until that day when they'll be revealed for their final purpose. The Book of Enoch also provides a timeline. These events will occur during the Great Judgment, when the earth is purified and the righteous inherit the new world. Behemoth and Leviathan aren't just apocalyptic symbols. They read the main course at the victory banquet. Chapter 7. Islamic Cosmology, the world-supporting beast. The influence of Behemoth extends far beyond Jewish and Christian traditions. In medieval Islamic cosmography, this creature took on an even more fundamental role, literally supporting the entire world on its back. According to Persian and Arabic treatises on cosmology, the earth rests on the back of a massive bull, which stands on an enormous fish, which floats in cosmic waters. The bull is called Kuyuta, and the fish is called Bahamut. Clearly corrupted versions of Behemoth and Leviathan, but here's where it gets fascinating. The names appear to have been switched. The bull Kuyuta represents the land-dwelling Behemoth, while the fish Bahamut represents the aquatic Leviathan. In Islamic tradition, Bahamut has become the more famous creature, described in almost incomprehensible terms. A 10th century Arabic text called Stories of the Prophets provides this incredible description. God created an enormous fish, which no one can contemplate, because it is gigantic and has many eyes. It is said that if all the seas were placed in one of its gills, it would be like a mustard seed in the desert. But it's the bull, the Islamic version of Behemoth, that bears the weight of all creation. The text describes a cosmic architecture where our entire world, with all its continents, oceans, and billions of inhabitants, rests on the back of this single creature. Think about the implications. Every earthquake, every geological shift, every tectonic movement could be attributed to the stirring of this massive beast beneath our feet. When the earth shakes, it's because the creature that supports it is moving. This isn't just mythology. This was serious cosmological science in the medieval Islamic world. Scholars used these descriptions to explain everything from earthquakes to tidal patterns to the apparent stability of the earth itself. The Islamic tradition preserves something that Western Christianity largely forgot: The idea that Behemoth isn't just a creature in a book, it's an active, ascensive living foundation of reality itself. Every step we take, every building we construct, every civilization we build rests ultimately on the back of this primordial beast. But what happens if it decides to move? What happens if the seals that hold it in place are broken? According to Islamic eschatology, the answer is simple: the end of the world as we know it. Chapter 8. Modern Mysteries. Underground Sounds. In our modern age of scientific instruments and global monitoring systems, we are detecting phenomena beneath the Earth's surface that ancient texts might have been trying to warn us about all along. Seismologists around the world have recorded what they call slow earthquakes, tectonic movements, that happen so gradually they coo and be felt on the surface, but register on sensitive instruments as continuous, low-frequency vibrations. These movements can last for weeks or even months, creating a constant underground rumbling that has no known geological explanation. In 2018, researchers detected a mysterious signal off the coast of Mayotte Island in the Indian Ocean. The signal was a monotonous, low-frequency hum that lasted for over 20 minutes and was detected by seismometers thousands of kilometers away. No one could explain what caused it. The signal had characteristics unlike any known geological phenomenon. It wasn't random like typical seismic activity. It was rhythmic, almost like breathing. Some researchers described it as a pulse of energy moving through the Earth's crust, but they had no explanation for what could generate such a signal. But here's what's truly unsettling. Similar signals have been detected at various locations around the world, always originating from deep underground sources. The patterns are consistent: low frequency, rhythmic, unexplained by current geological models. Could these be the stirrings of something that's been sealed beneath the Earth's surface for millennia? Ancient texts consistently describe Behemoth as dwelling in hidden places, in wilderness areas where no human dwells. What if these wilderness areas aren't geographical locations but deep underground chambers? The Book of Enoch describes Behemoth as occupying a waste wilderness that's specifically sealed and hidden. Modern deep drilling projects have discovered vast underground spaces, some filled with water, others with unknown atmospheric compositions. We've barely scratched the surface of what lies beneath our feet. Recent studies have revealed that the Earth's deep crust contains more water than all the surface oceans combined. Massive underground chambers, some larger than entire countries, exist in spaces we never knew were there. If something large were moving in these spaces, would we be able to detect it? The rhythmic signals, the unexplained underground movements, the mysterious deep earth phenomena. Could these be signs that the ancient seals are weakening? That the creature described in Job 40 is beginning to stir? Chapter 9. Final Revelations. Is Behemoth awakening? As we stand at the threshold of what many believe to be the end times, the ancient prophecies about Behemoth take on new urgency and relevance. The signs are multiplying, the seals are weakening, and the creature that God sealed away may be preparing for its prophetic emergence. Consider the evidence we've examined: biblical descriptions that transcend any known animal, rabbinical traditions about end-times battles between cosmic monsters, underground signals that defy scientific explanation, and global increase in seismic activity that suggests something massive is stirring beneath our feet. But Behemoth's awakening won't be like a natural disaster or a geological event. According to ancient prophecies, it will be a spiritual catastrophe, a moment when the physical and spiritual realms collide in ways that will reshape reality itself. The Book of Revelation speaks of the earth opening up, of beasts rising from the abyss, of seals being broken and hidden things being revealed. Revelation 11-7 mentions the beast that comes up from the abyss. And while this is often interpreted symbolically, the connection to the sealed creatures of Jewish tradition is unmistakable. When Behemoth emerges, it won't be acting alone. According to the Talmudic traditions, its awakening will coincide with the rising of Leviathan from the depths of the sea. These two primordial forces, one terrestrial, one aquatic, will engage in a battle that represents the final conflict between order and chaos. But here's the crucial point that ancient texts emphasize: this isn't a battle between good and evil. Both creatures are God's creations, instruments of His will. Their conflict serves a divine purpose, to provide the feast for the righteous in the world to come. The question isn't whether Behemoth will awaken. According to prophecy, it must. The question is whether we're spiritually prepared for what that awakening represents. Ancient seers understood something that modern humanity has forgotten. The physical world is held together by spiritual forces. And when those forces shift, reality itself changes. Behemoth's emergence won't just be a physical event. It will be a revelation, an unveiling of power that has been hidden since the foundation of the world. The mysterious underground sounds, the unexplained seismic activity, the increasing instability of natural systems, these may not be random events, but signs that the ancient seals are weakening, that the time of revelation is approaching. Whether you interpret these texts literally or symbolically, one truth remains constant. Behemoth represents the awesome, untamable power of divine creation. It reminds us that there are forces in our universe so vast, so powerful, that God Himself chose to contain them rather than allow them to operate freely in our world. But containment isn't the same as destruction. Behemoth still exists, still waits, still serves its purpose in the cosmic plan. And according to every ancient source we've examined, that purpose will ultimately be revealed when the seals are broken and the hidden things are brought to light. If this investigation has opened your eyes to the incredible mysteries hidden in Scripture and the signs that surround us today, smash that like button, subscribe for more end times revelations, and share this video with everyone who needs to understand what's coming. Remember, the Bible contains prophetic truths that are more relevant today than ever before. Keep watching, keep praying, and keep preparing for the day when the earth gives up its secrets and the beast that God sealed away finally awakens to fulfill its ancient purpose.